ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on today's episode, our main review is Good Will Hunting, and we'll also get to the what we're watching, of course. But before we get to any of that, I am joined today by the prodigal one, Nathaniel Gingrich.
What up, folks? I am the prodigal one, the prodigal son,
The prodigal son.
the prodigal buns.
But whoa,
Yeah,
I like that. That'd be a good gamer tag, you know?
prodigal buns.
Prodigal buns.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunate that hasn't been taken yet. Really.
Probably has.
Maybe I'll get on it.
Yeah, you should get on that. Trademark that really quick. This dog is causing.
She's on some demon mode shit.
Yeah, she is on demon mode. I was gonna ask, would you say is like your most? If you ever like started something new and you felt like you just picked it up immediately, like what is your most prodigal skill or hobby or talent?
Good question.
Any movie trivia game.
Okay.
Shit, I don't know.
Or something when you were younger, you just picked it up super quick, maybe at school, like a subject or
Yeah.
a random ass sport on the playground. I don't know.
I remember I remember as a kid I was reading. I actually had one teacher that knew I could read and just knew I hadn't quite figured it out yet. And like she actually gave my mom a set of books over the summer that was like abridged version of classic books, like your Dracula, Frankenstein, and your Black Beauties and Robin Hoods and that kind of thing. And she was just like, just read one of these once a week, basically, or however many as you can, and it actually got me to just really like reading. And after that, I just picked it up immediately and just was off to the races and went from like the regular to the gifted program and all that kind of shit. Yeah, I got into the Malcolm Gladwell tracking and all of that good stuff. So after that, it was smooth sailing for your boy Nathaniel on the academic side of things, and I was one of the lucky kids that got to just fuck off basically after that, you know?
Yeah.
Blake, Ty, anything you guys took off with particularly early on?
That's a good question.
Like what I excelled at, like as a kid.
Like what just came naturally to you?
Being annoying.
Okay. Good answer.
I would have to say I was pretty artsy as a kid.
Yeah,
that's awesome. See, I don't have that in my bag at all.
I used to draw a lot, to the point where like my parents and like my brother and stuff like actually got me like sketchbooks for like presents and stuff like that, and I always had like specific pencils, and then probably right around like my early 20s I stopped.
Would you ever start again? As like a hobby?
I don't know. I like doing like more crafty things now. Like I'd rather go do something. Like I'd rather build like a fucking coffee table or like work on my car and like do something like that I can still kind of get that same spark in my brain. I think it's just doing something with my hands in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I was just in my mind too. I was kind of I would say that I was like more of a mediocre artist. So I was just kind of like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. Like I've learned to express my way through other things in my life now.
I think like for me in that sense too, you learn to kind of channel that in other ways too, or like you find, particularly with me, I was always very good at like I'm a copy machine. Like if I see something I can draw. Case in point, my house picture up there. I didn't draw that from memory. I saw a picture of it, used it for reference.
I can do the
just
same
did
thing.
That
I'm very good at just like translating something.
Yeah, I can do that kind of stuff.
Like Chappie or like the robots from iRobot.
Yes, of course. But I don't have that. Like I can sit down, I can picture a scene in my mind, and I know the shading immediately off of that kind of thing, and can draw from there the way I can, I think, or the way that I think Tyler can in some ways too. But it's the I have it the other way where if I read anything, I can automatically have a picture of it in my head. I know how it would be shot
sure.
in that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
Blake, I imagine yours would be, I don't know. Can you play music?
No, I can't, dude. So like growing up, and that's like one thing that I hate as an adult now is like I have no like artistical skills. Whether that's like drawing, playing music, doing anything of that nature. I've never done that. I've played sports my entire life. So that's something that I wish I can kind of pick up that. And I guess that's something you can pick up as an adult as well. So maybe I just need to dedicate my time to it. But outside of that, I would say one thing I've always kind of known myself to be pretty good at, as well as stuff that my friends can probably merch on, is that I have a really oddly specific memory for like dates and locations. Of like, oh, we're talking with your buddies. I'm like, oh yeah, do you remember the time we did this? And I'm like, oh yeah, that was probably like May 2008, right? And it'll probably be awfully close to when the time was. So I would say I got a pretty good long-term memory. Short-term memory is a different question.
And there's also the thing that probably there's a pretty good chance if a new sport was invented tomorrow, of like the four of us, you're gonna pick that up quicker than the four of us too.
Yeah.
Possibly.
The college D1 wide receiver. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I would just imagine you might have a few extra. Barring it being like, I don't know, some weird form of tennis for you or something like that.
Pickleball. I can't wait to start playing pickleball with people. I'm so glad it's popular. I love pickleball.
What did you say, Adam? Pickleball?
Pickleball. It's kind of
You're
coming out.
Pickle, like the food.
Pickleball, yes.
Okay.
It's think of tennis with a wiffle ball and plastic paddles.
Smaller court.
Smaller court. Smaller court. Wiffle ball. The ball like has. I don't know the rule. I don't remember the rules exactly. It's been a while since I played, but like the ball has to bounce at least once if you're a certain distance back.
Is it a hard plastic?
Yeah, it's like a heavy ball. It's like a heavier plastic.
The trajectory on that ball is going to make that so difficult alone.
Exactly. Right? It's like you could very easily hit it way too hard. So you have to have some nice touch to it, because if you want to hit it hard but keep it in, it's, So I love pickleball. It's very fun, and it's becoming incredibly popular out of nowhere. Like pickleball clubs, pickleball leagues. Like I don't know how competitive it is, but it's kind of becoming like a casual, like, oh, let's go drink beer and play pickleball kind of thing. So I'm very excited for that. I hope that sticks around because I love pickleball. It's very fun. Yeah. Maybe we should go play pickleball.
Maybe that's your gift.
It could honestly, like, I won the middle school pickleball championship in my gym class in like 7th grade. So, maybe it is. Also joining us is Too Smart Ty, Tyler Vidalis.
Smart enough. Not too smart.
No, not too smart. I was trying to compliment you, man. You're a smart guy.
Smart enough.
Smart enough to build a coffee table. I couldn't do that. It'd look pretty bad. It'd just be like 2x4 planks, and then they'd probably all be uneven, and then it'd be
with a wood slab on top of that.
It's a flat piece of plywood on top, and then we call it.
That's how I would build it.
Yeah,
for sure.
You are a crafty man, Tyler.
It's impressive.
If I like was considering a project and I was like, I need someone to make this as quality as I can, as economically as I can. Like, you're probably my first call on that side of things.
Yeah, I agree. There's Tyler's probably a 1A. There's somebody who's I can't even say 1B because I would bet on Tyler doing it better. But I have another friend who, like, you two are the only people I'd even remotely think of calling for something like that. So
it's much appreciated.
Round of applause, man. Yeah.
I feel it's like a dad mode kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like even like the one time Nathaniel's like his brakes changed. He was like, "Can you do that?" I was like, "Yeah, I can do that. We're good."
It's like, Dad, I need help. Need you to teach me how to do this real quick.
I'm gonna learn you something.
And rounding out the squadron, Big Apple BlakeHolder.
Hey, I do like apples. I do.
I think have we had the casual talk of our favorite type of apple here on pod?
I don't know if we've touched favorite type of apple. I'm sure we've touched favorite fruits. I don't know.
Favorite type of apple?
Yeah, I don't know how versed I am in appleology to give you a credible opinion.
I like apples.
When's the last time you had an apple?
Today,
Around the table, quick.
Like 20 minutes ago.
Impressive. Nathaniel.
Maybe a year. I don't know. Probably fall at some point.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
unless an apple pie counts.
No.
You're talking fresh apple. Yeah, over a year, I would say.
Okay. Adam.
Whenever I was at school last, my parents don't have apples at home for some reason. So, but I get them every time I go to the grocery store at school. I get apples.
Okay,
go to
apples
snack.
are in your regular grocery.
Yeah, 100% of the time I need to have apples at all time. Honey crisp, of course.
Yeah,
that is my go-to.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I was leaning more towards Nathaniel. However, I did have a handful of apples. I went to the grocery store. It was maybe like 2 or 3 times in a row. This dates maybe like October, November of this year or this past year, I guess. But that was the first time I had an apple. To Nathaniel's point, that was well over a year. It's the first time I had apples, besides those times. So interesting.
I like a Granny Smith apple. I'm gonna.
I think we've had this conversation.
Slice them up
because I remember you saying Granny Smith.
Peanut butter
and apples.
Oh my god,
yeah,
an apple for sure.
Oh yeah, it's the best. I think
that's how I ate them all. Sliced, dipped in peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't beat it, man.
I think it's a good snack. Very good snack.
Yeah, that's how I feel if I'm gonna eat it, and I feel like it's a snack. Otherwise, I'll just eat like the apple, and I'm like, okay, that's just kind of like part of my day. It doesn't feel like a snack. So, but recently I've actually been getting into pink ladies, and they are phenomenal.
Is that a type of apple?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't even know the different variants of apples, right? If that makes sense. So
it's like this took a turn. I don't know what I was talking about.
I was like, it's gotta be apples, but I don't know.
I certainly hope it is.
Are you guys all on the consensus of red apples over green apples?
No, I like green.
That's kind of
I like green, but I prefer red.
I don't mind green, but yeah, a red has a particular snap to it that I think is just almost unbeatable by green apple.
Makes sense.
I'm in the green apple corner.
Piece of shit.
Yeah. Apples. I would put them in. I don't know. If we went back to drafting, I don't know if they'd be my first 2 pick. The apple would probably be like a 5th rounder.
Ooh, no shot. That's like a second or third for sure.
Really?
No.
Oh man, think of how many people eat apples on a regular basis.
Oh, I thought we were talking personals.
I mean, I guess even if you went unanimous, I mean, yeah. I would bet grapes number 1.
Grapes are up there.
Just how easy it is for consumption.
Sure.
It's gotta be number 1.
I was always a banana man.
I do
like bananas
at all.
So
that's not even on my top 5. That's on my bottom.
What? That's
bananas are bottom.
Bananas
are bottom 5 for me. I do not like bananas.
I'm hurt.
Yeah, that's actually.
I'll eat a banana.
I don't think I've ever heard that
bottom,
before.
but they're definitely not on top for me.
Yeah,
they're probably not in my top 5.
Bananas are one of the 3 fruits I will regularly buy at the grocery store. So every trip, it's bananas, grapes, and pineapples.
It's like
every trip.
It offends me on a personal level just because it's like the coolest named fruit too, like banana. It's just a good word.
Yeah. It's spelled awesome.
Yeah.
It's got songs to go with it.
It's funky. No other fruit do you peel, dude.
Yeah.
What other fruit comes in its wrapper like that? A lot of fruits, but anyways.
I guess oranges.
What? All right.
Make an argument for oranges.
Yeah. What other fruit comes with a wrapper that provides instant comedy when it is thrown on the ground and someone else slips on it?
Yeah. I'm with Nathaniel, man. Bananas are definitely an.
Yeah. I'm more basing this off
of
taste.
What other fruit
which is,
can
I feel
you
like how you should
use like a gun
Have you guys
in a comedy manner?
Have you guys ever peeled a grape?
I heard they prefer them
I was
surgery
gonna
on a
say,
grape.
You beat me to it, man. I've not peeled back a grape. no.
I've peeled a
Yeah,
grape.
So next time you eat a grape,
Jesus,
just like
Elliot.
use your little teeth
Yeah, and
and just like slowly grab and just peel it off. And you still eat the skin, but make sure you peel it like as thoroughly as possible, and then put the grape in your mouth, and then get back to me.
I'm sure the actual grape, once it's skinless, looks disgusting.
Nah, it just looks like a kiwi almost.
It looks like a hydrated raisin.
Yeah.
Okay.
but I know what you're talking about, Tyler.
Almost like it is a hydrated raisin.
Right. Yes.
I just
So, question for the group on grapes: how do you all eat your grapes? Are you a frozen grape
I
a frozen
connoisseur, or
grape.
you just
see. I said the same thing,
Oh,
Nathaniel.
really?
I tried the
know who
frozen
eats
grape.
grapes out the freezers? Oh,
I
man.
I've done it once, and I wasn't a fan. But I've realized the person who recommended this to me said I did it wrong. I didn't let them like thaw out a little bit. I just took them out of the freezer.
I
and ate
imagine
them.
you don't want them in you don't want them in popsicle form.
And-
You want
and
them
I
in,
ate them-
in
I ate them in
sorbet
pop-
form.
I ate them in popsicle form. And that was my mistake.
You're like,
For sure.
I'm never talking to this kid.
Yeah,
You're a
yeah.
fucking psychopath.
yeah,
So,
I had to.
That's funny, Adam. I've actually had that happen to a few of my friends. I've tried to put on of eating frozen grapes, where it's just like straight out the freezer into the mouth, and I'm like, dude, you can't really do that. You gotta let it chill for a minute.
That's
you
so
know?
funny.
But
We keep obviously grapes in the fridge, but we wash them first, and somehow
Right.
it just makes it like, I don't know if it's the water that's just on it, but it just makes it taste better.
You're not
I've tried
wrong.
both ways. I've done many testing. It
For sure.
almost puts a little bit more of like a snap into it. And I don't know why. I love it. But we do keep grapes in the freezer only for the reason because if we don't have like a wine chiller, so white wine needs to be usually cold, and red wine
Ah.
isn't. So instead of watering your wine down with ice cubes, we use frozen grapes,
Oh, yeah,
and then you
that's
can just
smart.
eat the grapes afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look into
I like that.
That's smart.
I like that.
I'm a pineapple guy. Let's talk fruit some more.
Pineapples are fantastic.
Yeah. Pineapples is
get-
probably my number one.
let's
They
get on
might be my
fruit.
number one.
Pineapple is my unanimous number one draft pick for sure.
Let's transition to vegetables. No, I'm just kidding.
I do love veggies.
Brussels sprouts,
Ooh, hit me.
asparagus.
Yes,
No way.
absolutely.
Brussels sprouts number one?
It's a
No, not
asparagus,
number one.
Asparagus,
I was gonna say, no way.
asparagus
I just
might
like 'em.
be asparagus might be my number one.
No,
Asparagus is fucking up there.
Yeah, it's gotta be, dude. I love
they're
asparagus.
delicious, but they're not number one.
What is number one then?
Broccoli.
Hot take.
No.
Cauliflower.
You
That's
lost
a
me on
hot
that one.
take.
You
That's a hot
lost me on that
take.
one. Yeah.
I don't mind.
It's
I like
versatile.
cauliflower, but
Cauliflower's
No votes
versatile.
for broccoli, fellas?
No,
It is
broccoli's
what it
my
is.
number one. Broccoli, without
okay,
a doubt,
yeah,
100%.
I'm with you, Nathaniel, for sure.
No,
I can't do cooked broccoli. I like it crunchy or roasted. I like it like raw. I like
yeah,
raw
roast-
broccoli. or I
roasted
like
is
it raw.
cooking.
But like roasted, like it's like browned over. But like cooked, like it's soft and mushy. I hate that.
Char.
So you don't like boiled broccoli?
Ah, sure, boiled. Is
Boiled
that-
or
is that what it
steamed
is?
broccoli.
Yes, that's I guess
Yeah.
the more important or more apt term.
No, you gotta. Well, if you're gonna steam it, you gotta steam it. You gotta serve it correctly afterwards, though. It can't be like and you can't serve
I
it
just
with like a
don't like
meat
the-
heavy dish at that
I
point.
just don't like the texture.
You just haven't had.
It's just mushy and gross, and it doesn't taste well. or
You
nice.
haven't had proper steamed vegetables.
All right, then
'Cause you
go make
didn't-
me some.
Yeah,
and
I can't do it. I didn't live in.
Waz, get in the kitchen.
I can't do it that way. You got to go to the right places for that.
What?
I can't take you on this culinary journey. You just got to go on it.
I got to get
yourself.
there myself.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I cannot be your
I'll
guide.
see you
here.
on the other side.
Look at me. Think I know how to cook?
I definitely don't. I've been working on it though. I've been trying.
If it's
It's
not a
just-
fryer, I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh man. Well, let's get into a little bit. Hello.
Hello.
I don't know what point that cut out. We had a bit of a power failure on our mixer.
think it was-
So hopefully the
a gremlin.
episode is still recording, or the episode recording from the first half is still there.
Maybe.
If not, welcome to Back Row Banter. We recorded about 30 minutes of fruit and vegetable talk, and it was very fun. And if this is the beginning of the episode, welcome. My name is Adam. This is Nathaniel and Ty and Blake. If it's not, well, then you guys already heard our favorite fruits.
And that's for you.
And that's, maybe that's the lost step, one that we can never recover.
Who knows?
Who knows? Anyway, before we ended, or got cut off, Jeremy Renner. somehow, I don't know what. I heard he was helping a motorcyclist or a motorist on the road, and then somehow got injured by his own snowplow.
Yeah.
And was sent to the hospital in critical condition. Has since stabilized. Has been through multiple emergency surgeries.
my God.
And just today shared a photo of him in the hospital, looking pretty rough. But just kind of saying like, "Hey, thank you all for all the support. It's hard to type right now, so I'm just gonna rest. But like, thank you, and we'll keep you updated, basically." And so he's alive and doing better than he was before, somewhat well. There hasn't been much information given like the extent of his injuries. His face looked bruised on one side and fine on the other. So I don't know exactly what happened with the snowplow, but he lost quite a lot of blood, and like that was a big issue with him being in critical condition. So I'm sure we'll get more information about what happened soon, but we just, at least personally, and I think all of us would want to say get well soon, Jeremy Renner. We hope you're doing well and everything is okay. That's very scary. And that's in addition to what happened at the Bills-Bengals game last night with Damar Hamlin. Also a scary situation. I wasn't watching the game. Are any of you guys watching the game when it happened?
I was not. No.
Yeah, I was.
You were?
I guess no surprise, but yeah, that was crazy. That was one of those. I didn't quite see him collapse live because obviously like the play just kind of the camera's cut to like the next plays being called and things of that nature, right? So it's interesting to, like, and then you show the replay, then you see him like make a tackle, then he collapses. It's like, oh, that was one of those things. Watching it as a fan, I'm like, oh, that's concerning. Then it cuts to a commercial break, right? Like how it usually does when people are injured, and then it cuts back maybe like 3 minutes later, and then like you can still see like medical staff on the ground. You can't really see Damar Hamlin, but you can see like the camera would go to like players' faces, and you could see like players like crying and stuff on the side. And then I was like, okay, that doesn't look good at all. I've never really seen that. You know what I mean? And then it cuts to another break, and then it goes back, and that's when they're like, yeah, they've been administering CPR and things of that nature. And yeah, that was crazy, man. To see that happen, I was like, wow, I don't know. I've never seen nothing like that. From years of watching.
I don't think any of us have really. I mean, we've
sure.
all seen brutal injuries from football. Like, you see the hits, you see people go down. We saw Tua earlier this season go down with a concussion.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
looked like he got basically knocked out, and that was a pretty big concern. And you see hard hits, and what was kind of surprising is, after seeing the video on social media, almost immediately after it happened, I was on Twitter a few minutes after it happened and saw a clip go by, and I was like, oh man, that's kind of concerning. And then it was a few minutes later that I went back on Twitter, however long later, and everyone was like, thoughts and prayers, all this stuff, and I was like, what actually happened? And then I heard about the CPR and stuff like that, and I was like, oh wow.
It was one of those things that, like, I always thought it was kind of an urban legend, like you get hit in your chest at the right time and your heart stops, kind of thing.
Yeah, it seems like something out of Kill Bill.
Right? Yeah, but that's definitely kind of seemed like that's what it was.
I forgot what the term is that I've been seeing going around. It's against this. It's like a CC term.
It's cardioido.
Yeah, it's like
paralysis or
paralysis or something like that.
Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Condition.
It's basically a pretty hard hit right as soon as like the electrical current is going through your heart to basically in between beats, and it throws your whole cardiac system into arrest.
Sounds like a fun time.
Yeah. What is it called?
Yeah, that show's terrifying, man.
Oh, commotio cordis. So there's this. Yeah, it's a very very millisecond small window in the rhythm of your heartbeat, where if you get a hard impact in the exact time of that part in the rhythm, it can cause it to go into atrial fibrillation, which is like where your heart's just not pumping. It's not pumping regularly, and then you need to do the AED to get kind of shock it back into rhythm, which is what they, I think, ended up doing on the field.
There's a different spookiness when someone falls from like one of those things like that, where you just you're not there anymore, and the puppet strings get cut, kind of thing.
Yeah, it reminded
me of that a few years ago when there was that that soccer player that collapsed like from like Switzerland or whatever.
Yeah, eerily
I
similar.
don't remember
sure.
this.
It,
I
yeah,
remember.
it was just during a match or something like that. And he just kind of fell over, and then it was another thing. He just like kind of had a heart attack,
Yeah.
basically, and he also survived as well too. They got him help, but yeah, it's a weird thing. And then of course, obviously with the NFL, you always immediately think it's something brain rather than
and
like
that's why it
their
was so
heart.
kind of weird to watch that clip. Was like I've seen much harder hits. I think we all have
Yeah, it
seen
was a very
much harder
routine
hits.
tackle.
It was a very
Yeah.
routine tackle. It didn't seem like there was any head trauma, and then he falls over, and so like you immediately kind of go, was this a head thing? Was this a football thing, or was it just a
Well, and it
random
wasn't like
tragic
he
thing?
was really the one getting tackled. He was kind of doing the tackling.
He did the tackling,
wasn't he?
yeah,
Right,
but he
yeah.
just took a shoulder or helmet to the chest, and that was enough to do it. And I'm just kind of surprised we haven't seen something like this happen before in football, because when I saw the videos kind of explaining what the commotio cordis, what that was, apparently it's kind of seen in baseball more than anything.
Take a
'Cause
grounder
you
to
take
the
a
chest.
grounder to the chest or hit by pitch somehow to the chest, and that's where most people in sports are concerned. And I feel like it's much higher chance in football for that to happen. I guess the only thing I can think of is the padding protects a lot of that blunt force from getting to the chest, and a lot of the times that protects your heart from a lot of that.
Yeah,
But
well,
you got to think it would happen more than it does.
there's a lot of human evolution in there too. I think your heart's pretty well protected by a lot of what's going on.
Too. Yeah. So it just seems like it was just hit him in the right spot at
But
the right time.
you're right in that it's like it's one of those things that it feels like this is a matter of time before something like this just does happen on like a national scale with like on camera or live as well too. Not necessarily this exactly Komodo dragon.
Commotio cordis.
That you were talking about, but just something of this nature. Especially now that you have this. Have you seen the Power Slap League that is coming out? It is literally just people standing at attention, just slapping the shit out of each other.
We don't need this.
And
I've seen some
pretending
clips of that before.
pretending
the
it's some
UFC
sort
is
of
bad enough. The UFC has to have like a 60-second gap between broadcast and
they're on a minute loop. But this new Power Slap League is owned by Dana White, which is the other part of this as well too. But yeah, that's pretty much where I draw the line, I think, on just taking unanswered and unaccounted for brain damage willingly on that one.
So anyway, Hope Hamlin, everything is well. Have you guys heard the latest updates? Last I heard was like last night. I don't think we've gotten much of an update.
Last I heard,
I've been trying to search as well on day or throughout the day, I should say. Watch ESPN. Listen to a few podcasts. I follow for football. Yeah, it doesn't seem like anybody really has an update besides, I think, whatever the Bills put out like 2 a.m. or something where he was in critical condition.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, crazy, man.
Yeah, hope all is well. Hope he recovers. I think that's the biggest thing out of the situation. I'm kind of surprised. Actually, I'm not surprised. I'm just kind of bothered by the fact that it took the NFL so long to postpone that game. It felt like it took them like an hour and a half to decide if they were going to postpone it or not. When I think I'm sure there's a lot of decisions and factors and people to check with involved. But like to me, that's an obvious like this game's over. This is not a concern. We will figure out the logistics later. So I'm just glad they ended up postponing it. I don't know what they end up doing with that game, but I think they made the right decision there. But yeah,
I agree with you. I know they caught a lot of backlash. 'Cause I think at first they were gonna resume play in like 5 minutes after he was carted off, and I have no idea. It's just speculation. I think that's probably one of those things that's just kind of like the rule book of like we'll resume within 5 minutes. Then obviously it looked like the coaches and like referees kind of like got together and was like,
but I think
not.
I just don't think we've seen something like this happen, at least not
exactly.
Since
so I
I've been
think
watching
everybody
football.
was just like, whatever the fuck the rule book says, we gotta just stay with it for right now and then hash it out later. So.
Yeah. Anyway, DeMar Hamlin, hope you recover, and hope everything is well. Both you and Jeremy Renner. Some interesting news in the past couple of days. Very scary.
Yeah, for sure.
And just another reminder to us all, never take a single day for granted.
Absolutely.
All right. Moving on. Nathaniel, Christmas time has passed.
It's here and come and gone.
It's come and gone, just like that. Christmas season it was here. It's now gone, but it's still kind of here.
Okay.
It's not completely gone. Friend of the pod, Back Row Banter.
Oh yes.
Everyone knows. It's come around once or twice every year actually that we've done this podcast. So what is this? Year 3? Is this Christmas number 3?
I
of
think
Back
so.
Row?
Yeah, I believe so.
This will be.
Yes. Or this I guess has been since we already passed it. Back Row Banter couldn't come for Christmas. Got COVID, I heard.
Again.
Yes, again. Yeah. He second time. He was double vaxxed, but he still got the bug.
Well, he does a lot of traveling.
That North Pole variant.
Mhm.
Yeah, he went to China before he came to HQ. So he was not able to come, but he's here this week, I hear, or stopped by sometime.
That's what I heard. Yep.
Yeah, left the presents for us. So we have our Back Row Banter little gifts here. Should I guess go first since I'm
I believe so, since you're here in studio.
yes, I'm here in studio. We unfortunately weren't all able to meet tonight for in-person Banta gift giving as Ellie joins me on my lap for this gift. She wants to know what it is. Oh my god. So I have my Banta gift. I'm interested because let's see. Year 1 was Weathering with You.
I believe so, yes.
Year 2 was The Graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So we've already spanned 2 genres.
That's right. We're going for a third one here.
We're going for a third one. Is it horror?
Or
I guess you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
We're finding out here.
Unfortunately, it's one
I see.
you recently acquired as
I
well
see.
too. So I think I have beef with one of your brothers again.
Potentially. However, we have solutions to solve this problem. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a 4K Steelbook edition of Starship Troopers, which is much appreciated. I foresaw this being an issue.
Oh yeah.
When I put this on my Christmas list, I was like, there's such a small chance Back Row Banter gets me one of these movies.
Yes. Yeah.
And here we are. We've arrived to that day. I might we'll figure it out.
It's all
but
good.
it's much appreciated because this is a great Back Row Banter gift, of course.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I fucking love this movie, man. It's so good.
And I guess I'll just tell both Tyler and Blake what theirs is, so they can have their gifts at the same time too. Tyler, you are getting a Criterion Collection edition of the movie Kronos by Guillermo del Toro.
Ooh.
His original feature film that I can't remember what year it actually came out. 92 maybe, but
Okay.
yeah, that's one for you. And Blake,
Not one that I've seen. And thank you, Back Row Banter, wherever
go.
you may be.
whoever or wherever you may be. I mean, obviously, Blake,
To
you
whom
are
it may concern.
yeah, you are getting the cult classic 1989 body horror film, specifically Society.
I thought you were gonna say The Fly, which is one I almost watched last.
No.
Okay.
Yes. So this is one I have to admit I have not actually seen, but I know is infamous for its ending, its body horror ending being quite shocking. So I'm hoping you will be brave enough to enjoy it for the both of us on there. But yes, if you do watch The Fly, I do I do recommend that one for you as well too. But
Okay.
yeah,
I heard that one's actually kind of traumatizing.
The Fly?
Yeah.
Which one? The Fly?
Not like dramatically traumatizing, but like it's like intense to watch.
Oh, it is. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's Cronenberg.
That guy's interesting.
Oh, shout out to
Shout out
Back
Back Row
Banter, man.
Banter, man. I hope you get well.
Great guy.
Oh yeah, I hope you
Or
recover
gal.
from COVID. Yeah, guy or gal.
Whoever it may be.
Whomever. Appreciated. Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
We love Christmas gift giving here. And that officially rounds out the holidays.
The end.
Yeah, the end. I think that's where like the title card comes in at the end for like the Hallmark movies, you know,
True.
where it says like the end there. I think
But
that's
what
it.
you been watching during these holidays?
I haven't watched Starship Troopers, even though I got it for Christmas as well. Although I need to go back and watch that soon. Would you like to know more? I would. I haven't been watching much at all,
No.
so I really can't go this week because here's what my life has been for the past 2 weeks. It's come home or go to work, come home. I either have a family thing, I have Halo practice, or I have to watch the pod movie, or I have to record the pod. It's usually one of those 4 things. Usually one of those 4 things. I've not had a chance recently to kind of sit down and watch something. I have access to a TV, of course, but have not watched much TV. It's easier when it's just in my room, all my got my setup and everything, and I could go on my living room TV. I'm being kind of dramatic in that sense, but it's just I've been relaxing with video games recently over this break, either Halo or Overwatch or whatever it is. Still grinding out Overwatch a little bit, so it's been fun. But yeah, I haven't really been watching much. I obviously watched Good Will Hunting for the pod. Watched that with Papa Schwartz.
Of course.
Always a good watch.
Nice.
He fell asleep about halfway through, always classic, and then watched the rest of it the next day. Also classic. So we watched that New Year's Eve, actually. Didn't feel like going. I went to the Bulls game the day before New Year's. New Year's Eve.
How was that? Who do they play?
The Pistons. And it was too close of a game until, I don't know, there was about 8 minutes left in the fourth, and then they finally started pulling away, and they ended up winning by like 14 or so. But like the whole game was like tied, and we're kind of just watching like, dude, what is going on? Like it's the Pistons. They're like 8-19.
Yeah, the Pistons are really bad.
Yeah, they're 8-19, and we have like a 2-point lead, or it's tied the whole game until the 5-6 minutes left in the fourth is when we finally started actually scoring. Man, those Bulls are something else. But that was a great time. But we basically went out all night that night, and so the next day was New Year's Eve, and I was just kind of like, I'm tired. I've been working all day. I'm just gonna stay and watch college football, which those were some great games. I guess that's what I was watching. Phenomenal college football playoffs.
For sure.
Both of those games, and fantastic. You know what? It's gonna be a great year. Probably the best year ever, because Michigan and Ohio State both lost. My two least favorite schools in all of college football, and they both lost. That's the best thing that ever could have happened. It really is. So I can't wait for 2023. It's only ups from here.
For sure.
Yeah, that's it. I just want to get that out of the way quick because I didn't have much to say. But Nathaniel, do you have more to say than I?
Not a ton more than you guys did. So I was down with my family, obviously, and then was up with my family, and then finally got back into town like a tumbleweed. And then it was New Year's Eve, and then we went over to our good friend Joe Godomsky's house, and I watched college football, even though I don't watch college football. Yes. I watched the
Joe Godomsky watches college football.
The people that were around Joe Godomsky were watching college football.
I'm sure Joe Godomsky didn't even know which channel was like ESPN or whatever.
I don't think he had access to it. I'm pretty sure we were casting from a phone.
I
or
see.
something.
Okay.
Sure. What games did you watch?
Yeah, so I saw the Georgia Ohio State
State
game. Yeah, and I think I generally just say fuck Ohio State on principle because that just feels like the right move.
The Ohio State. Go F yourself, dude. You're Ohio. No one likes you.
Yeah, I just feel like that that's something I've never, that's just something I feel on a molecular level.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, if someone were to ask me, it's just one of those things I think you have to have an opinion on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's either yes or no, and unless you're from there, it's just kind of fuck them,
Do you have an opinion on Michigan?
For sure.
I like the color blue.
Okay.
They're probably like closer to more ambivalent than other, but like, no, I guess that would be my opinion. I don't think about them enough to give them an opinion.
I see. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm caught in the triangle rivalry of Michigan State to Michigan, Michigan to Ohio State, and then Ohio State and Michigan State. All three. It's like a triangle rivalry because the states of Michigan and Ohio have like a rivalry for like territory that goes back a long ways. It's kind of similar to Mizzou and Kansas with the border war. Like it's a historic rivalry, one of the biggest in college sports. Or basically. And then, but it's Michigan State and Michigan both have rivalries with Ohio State. And then the two Michigan schools have rivalries. So it's like all three of those schools, each, none of them fuck
Ellie's
each other.
trying so hard to help you out.
Yeah, she's like high-fiving.
She's representing one of those schools there as well.
Yeah, she's being adorable. But yeah, so I can't like either of those schools. And then that's on top of the fact that they just are crappy schools in general. So
there you go.
Yeah, great day when they both lose. Great games, though. TCU, man. Who would have thought? Their odds to get to the national championship were like plus 23,000 or something like that before the season. It was like
Yeah,
it must
I
have been plus
honestly
10,000. I
didn't
think it
even really
says
think they
high.
had a chance to beat Michigan.
I didn't think so either. I think
Yeah.
most people didn't think so, and then they just came out
No.
and consistently proved that they were there to play.
Yeah,
Like it
that
wasn't
was-
like they
yeah, that
got
was
lucky in the
impressive
first half. Like
for sure.
they
Yeah.
got up early and Michigan kept coming back and they kept responding, and it was very impressive. And I would love to see them win the national championship because I don't love Georgia, but they're better than Ohio State, and now I'm definitely rooting for TCU in this finals.
Yeah, I think they're gonna get destroyed, but I mean, yeah, it'd be cool.
Well,
It'd be cool to see.
yeah, I don't know. I think it depends on how good of a first half they have. Georgia this year and last year have been a terrible first half team and an incredible second half team. Maybe not a terrible first half team, but they've always
Yeah,
struggled
I
in the
agree.
first half against good teams, and they somehow bring it back in the second half. And if TCU can just come out and put up 3 touchdowns on the board and then hang on the rest of the time, I think they could win. I mean, Georgia gets themselves in holes and then has to dig themselves out and somehow manages to do so a lot of the time. Like
Yeah.
Mizzou finished the season after bowl game 6-7, and it took them until like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter to take the lead against Mizzou. Like we almost beat them when they were ranked 1. Like that's
Yeah,
not a
that
team
is true.
that is.
It's hard. You can't run through everybody though.
True,
Sports are
true. And
for,
Mizzou,
you know.
of course, go Tigers. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think TCU could be legit because I think everyone was doubting them
Fair.
coming
Yeah,
into
that's
the
fair,
into the
for sure.
semifinals and thinking they don't have a shot against Michigan, and then they beat Michigan. And I think Georgia's a bit of a different beast, but I still think they're going to compete.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm excited for that game.
So, anyways, I watched that game,
Yes,
and I realized I really don't care about college football.
fair.
No. And then I did watch Nope the other day, though.
Mhm. I
That's
saw
a
you
little
walking out of the
Ah,
store with
second
it
watch.
in hand, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Ooh, this guy's got a fun night ahead."
I did.
Yeah.
Man, I really, really enjoyed that on the rewatch, and it might be my movie of the year.
Yeah.
Just a little
Really?
Bit of
Well,
sizzle, man. No
Hey.
shit.
little bit of sizzle
I
there.
like it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like it.
really, really enjoyed it.
You think it gets any Oscar attention?
Maybe
Get Out did. Get Out got a
maybe
Best
Get
Picture
Out
nom.
did, yeah,
Daniel
I think-
Kaluuya
I
got
think-
a Best Actor nom.
but I think Get Out was very
There's a bit of a zeitgeist around it when it came
yes, that and it was distilled. It was easily
Ah,
it was easily consumed. I think
This is, yeah.
Nope is a little bit more esoteric. Not as esoteric as
I agree.
Us, but still a little
Yeah, I
bit.
agree.
It's just a deeply weird film, and you have to almost rewatch it a second time for it to all click, I think, a little bit.
Sure.
And then what was the other thing I got to? Oh, this morning I got to a documentary. You're from a generation younger than I am.
Okay.
Do you know the YouTube channel All Gas No Brakes?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen anything from it and don't really know of it, but I've
Yeah.
definitely heard of it.
So, from what I gather and what it kind of seemed in the kind of little intro clip, he's made a film now. But it's this guy. In school looked like he was at like LSU or something.
Okay.
But he was like kind of one of those original crop of people that would just put a microphone into your face and ask you your questions on the street or whatever. And he was kind of doing it maybe in the mid thousands or mid
Okay.
tens and kind of before it was ubiquitous and all over TikTok and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he was at the kind of Trump rallies starting
I've seen this guy. I have seen
as
this
they
guy.
started to kind of like as they during the election in 2020 and then as they kind of lead up to January 6th, then kind of had a very unique and advantageous position at those spaces during
Mhm.
that time as just a media member and a guy on the ground and kind of thing. And so the film is kind of him going throughout it. And it has some of the truly great, like kind of record scratch, freeze frame, needle drop moments I've seen in a long time since like the heyday of Louis Theroux and that kind of thing. So it was a fun little watch and an interesting perspective and also like a pretty measured one of just being like, hey, anyone that was out here that was just kind of doing this, you kind of ended up all looking like pricks. And like, we've really kind of all damaged ourselves here
Yeah.
along the way in this process. So, yeah, it was very interesting. And I think it'd be an interesting one for you to watch, and especially now that you've done your documentary class, because there's specifically a few things in there that I would talk with you about. But anyways, yeah, then other than Good Will Hunting, that was basically it for me this week. Yeah, I'll kick it over to Tyler.
Hi, I'm
Hey, man.
Tyler. Did not get around to too much because I'm just trying to knock out a couple of things. So we're getting into one of my little patterns where it's basically like the same 2 things every week.
Sure.
But first one's Will and Grace. Been just cruising along on that. It Will Never Be Friends, but it's not bad. There are a lot of things that you probably can't get away with saying on TV now.
Resounding endorsement. Is that the term? Resounding? What's the word I'm looking for there?
Ringing endorsement?
Ringing endorsement? Is that it? Yeah, I think you're right. No, my bad. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So, but yeah, a little bit of good comedy writing, and but yeah, there are probably some things on there that you can't get away with saying on TV now. But still, funny.
What year was this?
These are like late 90s.
Okay, sure.
And then Naruto Shippuden, which has just been a blast and a half to kind of go back to. I've watched Naruto more than I've watched Naruto Shippuden, so this is a very pleasant rewatching for me. So yeah, other than that, it's basically been YouTube, and kind of like Adam, I've been kind of naturing to one game lately, and I'm back on Valhalla. I don't know why.
Yeah?
I don't know how
Really?
I got here.
Okay.
That's out of the blue.
Yeah, but there's a lot more for me to do now because I beat the piss out of it earlier.
Yeah, there's DLC now, right?
Yeah,
that's fun.
So Justin has also kind of started this journey, and we were like sitting here just playing the same game. Obviously, you can't play with each other in this game. It's not co-op, but it's been pretty fun, and he's on like his first playthrough, so he's very early on in the game.
Yeah.
So
Sure, of course.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Blake?
Yeah, not a ton here, to be honest. Being watched a ton of football, as we kind of discussed earlier. 2 movies I did get to, both happen to be rewatches. Both happen to involve Quentin Tarantino. First one was a rewatch of Kill Bill Volume 2.
Okay. Just Volume 2, no Volume 1?
No, I didn't do Volume 1. I've seen obviously a fair amount of times as well, but decided to rewatch Volume 2 opposed to 1. Really good, as expected, man. You know what I mean? I still don't put it over. No, I thought one of you all preferred it over Volume 1.
I think it was me.
I was like, was it you?
If it was any of us, I remember saying like I might like 2 more than 1.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was fucking awesome though, for sure. The story to finally have that character arc.
Yeah, I still blame Nathaniel for making those be so low on the list, because he was like, "Well, if we put this Tarantino here, that means all of them go above." And I'm like, "I don't care. Let's do it. Let's put them all above."
Volume 1 slip, honestly, kills me.
Yeah,
every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, another one I got to that involved Tarantino. Although he's not directing it, but he is starring in it. And that's From Dusk Till Dawn.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
He stars in it?
He does.
Yeah, have you seen From Dusk Till Dawn?
No,
Adam? I doubt it. I figured. I'm sure Tyler's seen that movie.
Yes. Not for a long time though.
Yeah, so it was I was scrolling to HBO trying to find something to put on late at night. And I found it on there. I was like, oh shit, I haven't seen this in probably 10 plus years, and it's one of those that, and I put it on, and then I almost forgot that it actually had Quentin Tarantino in it.
Yep.
Until like he's in within the first like 40 seconds of the movie. It's in. I was like, oh, he is in this movie. I forgot. It's one of those that I always associated him being the director and not being an actor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
Right. And then I saw him act, and I was like, oh, that does make sense. I'm just wrong. So yeah, that movie's awesome. That's one. We may have to get on the short list as well, or that's even one. Just Adam should take his time to watch. How much of a fan you are of Tarantino?
Mm-hmm.
I think he was your number 2.
He was my number 1 pick overall, actually.
Oh, number 1 pick.
Number 1, yes.
So, I mean, I think you should watch him, man. It's one of the few pieces of film where we have him acting opposed to directing, and honestly, his acting is about as you would expect. His line delivery and everything of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime he does anything, I'm like, oh, that's a fucking Tarantino movie, right? You can just see where kind of that ideology and that thought process comes. But yeah, awesome movie. Involves vampires. I'm all in. So, but yeah, that's all I got too. And then Good Will Hunting. I got to that today. So yeah, that's all I got.
Cool. Well, with that being said, I guess we can get on into our main review of the aforementioned film, Good Will Hunting. Welcome, listeners, to the main review segment of the podcast. Nathaniel, if the listener here is new, maybe they've just forgotten. Because that happens from time to time. You know, just forget something.
We all forget.
Yeah. Forget your keys, forget, you have a doctor's appointment, all sorts of things to forget.
How to do your job after you come back from the winter break.
Yeah, forget to do your laundry. There's plenty of things to forget. I'm a not very forgetful person, but I forget like simple things. ADD does that to you, Anyway, if they've just forgotten, can you give them a rundown of how the review segment works?
How our review segment works here, folks, on Back Row Banter, if you are new or perhaps you've just forgotten, is it's divided into two segments. There is the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the film's IMDb page, who wrote it, who stars in it, who directed it, all that good stuff. We'll go and read the film's IMDb summary and decide whether or not we like it. Go around the quadrant, see if we recommend the film. Has to be a yes or no answer. There is no nuance on the internet. Do we recommend it or do we don't? Do we don't?
Do we don't?
Do we don't?
Do we don't?
Do we don't?
Welcome
system.
Welcome to the do we don't segment of the podcast.
Do we do or do we don't? And then it's going to be a spoiler section. And that's going to be any big spoiler moments or spoiler plots. Any deeper thought about the film itself. And even if you don't want to have it spoiled for you, do come back and see where it ranks up on our Entropy list, which is our big list we've watched on. Which is our big list
Sometimes we forget words
of everything we've watched on the podcast ranked. And sometimes we do forget words or trip over them.
Hey, man, there's a lot of talking on a podcast, and it's hard to do that flawlessly sometimes.
It's true.
Yeah.
But Adam, tell me about Good Will Hunting.
I would love to. This is a movie released in the year 1997, rated R. Did you mute yourself?
No.
Oh, okay. Rated R. Which is somewhat surprising, and probably for language.
I think it is just language. Remember when it feels quaint to have a movie rated R just for language, doesn't it?
Yeah, rated R for strong language, including some sex-related dialogue. Okay, well, let's not be soft here. Runtime of 2 hours and 6 minutes with an IMDb rating of 8.3 out of 10. Pretty good. Directed by Gus Van Sant. Van Sant? I don't know. I haven't heard of this guy. What else has he done? Do you know, Nathaniel?
Is he the one that remade Psycho shot for shot?
Is he? Wait. I'm looking.
I feel like that is.
What year do you think
that would have been?
Yes,
98.
it is. 98. Yep.
Yeah.
That is him.
Yeah, that's
an
where I know the
interesting-
name Gus Van Sant.
I see. Okay. I can't really recognize much else of what he's done, but he did this, and he did a pretty damn good job. Written by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, returning in their writers' roles to the podcast. This is the original movie that they wrote together. The sequel being, well, not sequel, but the follow-up being The Last Duel, which we reviewed here on podcast. And I was going to say, is this Matt?
Direct sequel to Good Will Hunting?
Yeah, direct sequel, The Last Duel.
That's
I
funny.
guess direct prequel, maybe.
Yeah, I was like,
maybe
technically
maybe
prequel,
that's
sure.
his direct descendants or ancestors. I don't know.
It went from French to Irish.
Yeah, he real quick. Because I was just about to ask, is this Matt Damon's debut? I couldn't think of anything, but no, Last Duel. We did that. I did not enjoy that movie, but that's you can go listen to that episode if you want to hear those thoughts. Of course, starring Robin Williams, Matt Damon. That's all I think of sometimes when I hear his name. I
100%.
haven't even seen that
We have
movie.
Ben Affleck on the entry list.
Same movie.
Justice League.
Justice. Oh yeah, Justice League.
Wow, that was a huge brain
Yeah.
fart. And
Justice
Last
League
Duel.
and Last Duel, and I guess
Yeah,
a
for
Snyder
sure.
cut, so 3 times technically, kind of 1.5
Oh,
or 2.5.
okay. Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. Stellan Skarsgård, Ben Affleck. If I didn't say him, I think we might just I don't know if I actually listed him.
Stellan Skarsgård, friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
on.
He's been on a couple actually. And then Rachel Majorovsky.
Who?
Wait, is that not?
No, Minnie Driver is the main girl.
Wait, what is this order?
I think it's the order of appearance.
I hate when they do that, dude. It's the worst.
I once looked it up. I wanted to know if it was like a Writers Guild thing or an Actors Guild thing. And apparently it's just whenever they decide. Sometimes it's just order of appearance. Sometimes it's alphabetical. Sometimes it's like you are just listed first.
Okay. Then why is... No, you know what pisses me off more than anything? I just click on it, and now it's in order of the appearance. But before on like the regular page, like the homepage of the movie, Robin Williams is listed first. But we don't see him until like 30 minutes into the movie. So, you know what? IMDb, get your shit together. I'm tired, Jeff Bezos. I'm tired. I just want it straightforward. Minnie Driver, thank you for correcting me. I confused myself when I said that name. I was like, that doesn't sound right. And then Robin Williams, as we just mentioned. I think those are the main people we should be listing.
Yeah, shout out to the like third friend that also plays the bad guy in Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. What's his name?
It's not his brother, Casey Affleck.
There's Cole Hauser.
That's the one, yeah. Cole Hauser. Yeah, who plays an Irish guy in this one and like a Cuban guy in Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah, he's versatile, you know? Different time, early 2000s. You could play whatever race you wanted. The IMDb summary reads as follows. Will Hunting, a janitor at MIT, has a gift for mathematics, but needs help from a psychologist to find direction in his life. That's like when you distill water and then if you were to just distill it again, like that's like so dumbed down, but it's good. It gets to the point very quickly, so I can't be too mad about it. It's not like it's giving you misinformation. All of that is true. To fill in the gaps a little bit, Matt Damon, aka Will Hunting, as we heard in the summary, he's kind of working in the beginning of the movie. He's working as a MIT janitor. Doesn't go to MIT, just working as a janitor. And we find out pretty early on, dude's got a gift from God. A prodigal one, some might say.
What?
Can you relate, Nathaniel?
No.
No, I don't think any of us can. But yeah, there's a, I'm not going to say the exact plot of the movie, but he solves a problem that's supposed to be basically unsolvable. And then Stellan Skarsgård is like, whoa, dude might be smart.
You got a good brain, kid.
Got a good brain, kid. And so he takes him under his wing and is trying to point him in the right direction and gets the help of therapist Robin Williams, a.k.a. what's his character's name? Sean. Don't know if he has a last name. Sean. So it's kind of the relationship between Matt Damon and his friends, Matt Damon and the professor, Matt Damon and Robin Williams, and Matt Damon and what's her name? I already forgot it.
Minnie Driver.
Minnie Driver. His love interest in the film. Anything else we need to say on that?
No, I think you nailed it.
Cool. Whose first watch is this? Any of us?
I thought it was gonna be my first. Well, I guess it's definitely my first watch from beginning to end. I thought I've never seen this movie at all until I saw a young Ben Affleck and a young Matt Damon when they're playing baseball, and I was like, okay, I've definitely seen this movie.
Okay.
So it was like one of those for me, but
Gotcha.
Still, first time beginning to end, and I probably haven't seen this.
Yeah, so it might as well have been a first watch, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for
Cool,
sure,
cool,
for
cool.
sure.
And then I've seen it, Nathaniel. I know you've seen it. Tyler, I'm assuming you've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cool. Who wants to kick it off here? Nathaniel?
Yes. Are you going to ask me a question or you're just saying...
I'm thinking of like how I want to phrase the question.
Okay.
Is this going to be an American Psycho that has like a resurgence in a couple years and like just skyrockets again in popularity?
No.
No? Why not?
Because it is too much of its time. I think...
Elaborate.
I don't think this movie really gets going until Robin Williams comes on screen. And I think nowadays the first half or the first third of this movie where we're establishing not Robin Williams, but I keep wanting to call him Robin. He's a small man. Matt Damon's character's Will is like being established. He's not that character is not the everyman anymore.
Sure.
You know, like he is not the hero anymore. It's at its core, it's a white guy who's having white guy problems, who's sad, and finds out that he has, you know, it's Harry Potter. He is the chosen one. He has the blank check to get out of wherever he wants. He can do whatever he wants, wherever he'll be. You know, he's going to be financially secure, whatever he decides to do. So he is free to go and chase the girl who he pushed away because he's sad to talk about his feelings.
Spoilers, dude.
Sometimes.
I mean, it's,
allegedly.
it's 20 years old. There's more to the movie than that, but
so, and I think, yeah, I saw this movie when I was 18, maybe.
I think that's around the time I saw it for the first time. Too.
Yeah, so it was one of those ones I felt like, I don't know, maybe even when I was 18, I felt like it had kind of aged a little bit.
Okay.
Too, and so it's a movie I've always liked, never loved, and one that I've always wished I liked more than I did.
Sure.
But it's more now that I think the most interesting parts of it again are they are the Robin Williams character and anything.
I agree 100%.
Anything he's doing and his relationships with, you know, the Stellan Skarsgård character and everything, and kind of his philosophy overall. But you know, it's an impressive feature or debut feature for writing team. You know, I think even early on you could see Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's talent as well too, and
how early on in their careers is this?
Pretty.
They both look very young.
Yeah, this is their first, I think, feature maybe they wrote together. But
Yeah,
I know they both had bit acting roles by this point, but it was like they were kind of circling around the industry. This was definitely their big break.
97. Yeah, so he's in Chasing Amy. He's in The Rainmaker.
Yeah, I think they might have been in. Ben Affleck might have been in some of Kevin Smith's stuff by this point.
Ah, I see.
And Matt Damon, I think, was like, you know, in Saving Private Ryan or something like this by this point.
Saving
maybe.
Private Ryan was a year after this. Actually.
Okay, yeah. So,
but still, yeah, he had like 7 or 8 before this. But I can definitely see this being his breakout.
And it's kind of a movie that doesn't really get made anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In that it's kind of that like kind of talky
not a lot of action.
Dramatic, not high stakes.
Kind
of, you know, film.
Very low key personal story.
Right. Where I feel like if this movie gets made nowadays, it's the quippy like you know, the kind of...
This is a Netflix movie if it gets made today.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the unfortunate truth about it.
And it's almost too earnest in that way, and that like it's like the upshot of it. Well, I won't go into spoilers, but you know where it decides to go and where it takes itself with its kind of like final messaging. I feel like
we need to elaborate on that.
Is almost a little bit like in today's world, it's a little bit of like, well, duh. Like that's kind of like where you start, kind of thing. But I don't know. I've talked a lot about it now.
But you like it?
Yeah, I do like it overall. Like I said, I like it. I don't love it.
Like it, don't love it. Okay, don't think it's gonna break out anytime soon. You think it remains where it is? You think it becomes kind of a cult classic?
Yeah, because I think right now among films, Twitter circles or whatever, if you would ask, it's kind of in one of those like kind of overrated circles, you know.
Sure, okay.
Where like your dad's like, yeah, it's a great movie, and anyone's like, yeah, it's horrible and derivative and like emotionally manipulative kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think it'll come back a little bit, but I think it'll even out now.
Gotcha. Ty?
Yeah, you know, this is something that I saw pretty early on. I would say I was probably 16, 17, somewhere in there. But yeah, I definitely didn't have the appreciation for it that I do now. I've seen it a few times since then. And you know, I think as you kind of get older, you definitely learn to appreciate this movie a little bit more. I will never be able to get the accents that these guys have.
Sure.
And it's in like, you know, Ben does it in quite a few movies like The Town, and
for sure.
there's a lot of Matt Damon in The Departed, so there's those are like, a few characters that I kind of see as like a flashback or a flash forward of them every time I hear their accents from Boston. But yeah, overall a good movie for sure. Definitely puts you in your feelings a little bit. But yeah, I like the overall story and kind of how everything plays out, and we can talk about it more. But that's it's a recommend for me.
Blake, curious to hear what you think, man.
Yeah. Honestly, I liked it. Like I said, I had a few memories of it once I kind of started letting it roll. But first thing I thought of, similar to what Tyler was saying, was definitely the town and all the Boston accents, as well as The Departed, which just kind of just brought me right back instantly. And it's really interesting because I know this is one of the first films they wrote together. And I found out that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon were really good friends. When did I find this out? Maybe it was watching like The Last Duel with my dad. I think he was kind of aware of that and then kind of brought it to my attention. Then I went back and did some research on it. So it's really cool to go back and watch this with all that knowledge and like realize where they were in life, right? And that's actually a very impressive feat for them to accomplish, at that age and what they're able to do.
Yeah, similar spots in life, similar spots in their career to come out,
for
do
sure.
this, write this movie
That's
together.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely really good. Really cool.
So yeah, it's awesome. And in terms of the cast is great, right? For Robin Williams, rest in peace. Stellan Skarsgård, who's awesome in everything I've seen him in, as well as just a story. I mean, I don't want to say it's a coming of age story because I guess it's not. Really
well, he's not of age. As much drinking,
right.
as much drinking as are in this movie, he's not of age. So I guess it's still kind of a coming of age.
It is one of those ones where like, you turn 21, Will, and they're like, that man's 36.
Yeah,
He's not that old, but he's definitely not 21
not
in
20,
this one.
Not 20.
So yeah, I guess I can't quite say it'd be a coming of age film, but yeah, it is good to kind of sit back and every once in a while to have these movies that are more grounded, and maybe it's not all like fairy tales and things of that nature, right? Where this is a reality for a lot of people out there, right? Coming from troubled backgrounds, whether it's home situations, relationships, failures in relationships, things of that nature. So it is good to kind of, it's one of the first movies I've sat back and watched of that tone in a while. So yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I'm on board with pretty much everything. I think I liked it more on the first watch than I did the second watch. And maybe part of that is kind of the growth I've had in like my movie taste and movie kind of knowledge since then. And I also just paid attention to different things than I did the first time. I was very much more involved with the romance story itself than anything in the movie. I felt like that was kind of the main focal point, where this time around I did notice the same things you were talking about, Nathaniel, the Robin Williams character and more his relationship with Stellan Skarsgård, and then his kind of method of getting through to Matt Damon, and then kind of the role of Ben Affleck in the film. Like, I was just paying attention to different stuff than I did the first time around, and so I appreciated different parts of this movie, but then overall didn't come out of it as pleased as I was the first time around. That being said, still really enjoy this movie. Don't know. I think you're right, Nathaniel. I don't know if this really kind of breaks out back into a mainstream kind of popularity like American Psycho has. I think I'm kind of with you on that one. I would love it to, but I don't know if it will.
Yeah, I don't think it reaches there.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think as we kind of discussed with the Psycho, the reason why that has kind of taken the pop culture is like the satire and the things that you can go back and joke on, where
the nuance
this film
of it,
is kind of lacking that.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
It's almost like too grounded, for a lack of a better term.
Sure. There's more charm in American
Right.
Psycho in some aspects of it, yeah. I do feel like, though, that being said, I do feel like there's a lot of people that have a soft spot for this movie, or still like kind of have this as like a go-to, like, oh, I like Good Will Hunting. Like if you ask them like their favorite movies, like I feel like this is still a lot of people that would go back and like kind of point to this one as being a movie they enjoy a lot.
Well, it's like the ultimate fantasy, like we were saying. It's that you one day you
Mhm.
discover you're chosen for one thing and it solves your problems, kind of thing as well too.
Sure.
I think that's been like the main thing that you see parodied now too is from this movie is like the kind of light music and someone in a hallway solving like the
Yeah.
problem or what. I know in Community it's like the guy fixes the toilet or fixes the water fountain instead, and he's like, "You should be a plumber."
Yeah.
This is a gift. You can fix anything, and it's like, yeah, it's I don't know. It's
Or like the Queen's Gambit, I feel like has a similar
yeah
kinda-
into
kind of
that kind of
baseline.
yeah, just you are chosen
Yeah.
kind of thing, and it just makes sense for you. And yeah, there are those people every now and then, but I think the real world applications are more of like there's just someone with a lot of time and money that they can just throw at something nowadays.
Yeah.
They're just not just people walking around who can see the numbers in a different light. But maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. I thought you couldn't get hit in the chest and immediately die. Like
Whoa, he's not dead. Fall over, collapse.
yeah. Well, stop your heart. We'll go with
Sure.
that.
Okay, we'll go with
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about this movie?
Do we just want to go into spoilers?
Yeah, sure. Let's throw in a spoiler.
Yeah,
I guess
send it.
I'd forgotten about that point. So I am a recommend.
Definitely recommend.
I'm
so
also
Yeah,
a
for
recommend. Yeah. If you haven't seen this movie, you will enjoy it overall. I know we've kind of been a little critical of it, but I think it's because it's right on the cusp of being great almost in some regards, and I think it just doesn't quite get there, and that's why it's like on this watch maybe a little held back. More thoughts on why that is here in spoilers. If you've not seen Good Will Hunting, do not want to spoil it for you. There's a timestamp in the description where you can skip over the spoiler segment, and you'll be taken to the ranking of the movie Have upon the entropy list. Let's get into this spoiler time. What do you want to do for spoiler noise? We got to figure this out. That works.
Okay.
Easy
That was pretty
transition.
funny.
Welcome
To spoilers.
To spoilers. Okay. I think this movie gets bonus points for Matt Damon's hair. I just want to get that out of the way right off the bat. Love his hair. Loved it throughout the film. Looks great.
Great hair.
Yeah, great hair. Not a hairstyle you see much nowadays.
Minnie Driver should have been in more things.
I also agreed. She's fantastic in this. This scene in particular that we have on the background, of course, we watch the movies sometimes when we are recording a podcast if it's available for us to watch. And we're at the breakup scene, basically, in her dorm room. She's a great scene, and she's great throughout this movie. Her at the bar at the beginning when she walks up to him goes, "You're an idiot. Like, what the hell? I'm waiting for you to come over." Like, that's a great bit. Very charismatic right from the start.
It's one of those things now where you see, like, oh, well, she was great, and then she wasn't really in much. Then you see, oh, this was produced by Miramax.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyways, fuck you, Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone in this movie is doing a good job, I think, acting-wise. I think, Affleck and Damon are both standouts. You can just see, just from the start, their charisma and their kind of screen presence. Stellan Skarsgård always doing, the yeoman's work. Always got a difficult role to play, I think, a lot of times, and generally kind of excels at those, either being kind of that fatherly figure or a psychopath. And you never really know.
Or an old sleazy professor trying to pick up college
Yeah, that was
students.
the other thing. Yeah.
That's a weird
Weird
character
note.
choice for this movie.
Yeah, weird note that definitely doesn't play as well.
It
A lot
really does
of
It's-
R-tard drops, a lot of R-word drops, a lot of F slurs
For sure. Yeah.
as well too. And that's where I was like,
time.
yeah, and that's where I'm like, this one isn't coming back in the same way like, American Psycho is. Like in American Psycho, he calls someone that, but just like, he's the worst person in the world.
Sure.
And that's when you're like, yeah, they're supposed to be a couple of guys from down.
Yeah, they're from Boston.
Yeah, from the town,
he's from South Boston.
they're maybe a little rough around the edges, but you're supposed to identify with them, and now you're like, no, they're just offensive assholes.
Yeah, they just punched a guy out of nowhere on the park or on the basketball court for no reason.
Hey,
'Cause-
he was looking at them funny.
Yeah, he was looking at them funny, and they're going to little league games with beer in the stands. Like, yeah, they're relatable. Yeah, maybe some of those aspects haven't aged quite as well.
What I think has aged well is obviously the Robin Williams character and like his approach to the Matt Damon character, because I mean I think the Will Hunting just ends up kind of becoming the voice of, or becomes representative of like kind of his generation and that kind of era that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were coming up in, which was, we are educated and fuck you, because now we've realized the game we're kind of playing here along with it, and now we're pissed off too.
Fight Club generation.
Yeah, a little bit, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think that's almost immediately after that in the timeline of everything. And the Robin Williams character in essence saying, well, the things you are inheriting, it's not your fault. You're just gonna have to kind of fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks. And it's kind of is a cathartic thing to hear, and it is representative of the like, all right, well then screw it then. I'm gonna go out and experience life and fuck you.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like it's missing that last little bite. It just, at the end of the day,
that secret ingredient.
At the end of the day,
make it
it's
special.
just a film for me that just doesn't add up to be more than the sum of its parts. It feels like it's a movie that I've watched at different times in my life, and every time that I've watched it, there's been a different thing that I've picked up that I liked about it, but there's been another thing that I've picked up that I'm just like, that is the thing that keeps this film back from like becoming a classic or something like that. And every time I watch it, it changes, and every time I watch it, I feel like it's something else, So it's always quite kind of not quite there.
Mm-hmm.
So like, let me ask you this: it's like, what do you think would change your opinion on that? I mean, would you rather the Matt Damon character like change his life around like in a quick manner or something of that?
No,
I'm just like throwing shit out there.
No, yeah. I feel like there's some plot threads that get kind of dropped at the end of it pretty conveniently. Like I think there's more unresolved tension between the Stellan Skarsgård character and the Robin Williams character.
Yeah.
And even the I remember the first time watching this, I was upset. I remember being like upset that like he leaves his friends, and like obviously that's the point of the movie is he grows up,
Yeah.
and that like he does like leave them behind. But then like now that I'm watching it now, I'm like, okay, yeah, I get that portion of it, but there's just something other thing that like bothers me about it this time as well too.
They set it up to be unresolved, but then that's good that they, it's cool that they set it up to be unresolved, because it's like, oh, that's what Ben Affleck wanted. But then you're kind of sitting there like, okay, cool, they set it up like that, but I still don't like it. I still don't like the fact that it's unresolved. I mean, it does feel a little hollow, the fact that he's like just straight up and leaves. Like, I know it was obviously hinted at, but you don't get their relationship. You don't get the vibe that he would do that.
Yeah.
But he does, and so maybe if they went about it a slightly differently, like what if he left Ben Affleck a note? I feel like that would have been a little bit better. It could have just been another one-line thing like he did with Robin Williams, like the fact that he just up and left. But if he had like a note on the door or something like that, I think that could have brought a little bit more closure to
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
But as a character study movie, it's nicely done, and it's well examined, and
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Anyone else take over? Like I said, I've talked a lot about it now.
No, you're good. Is this Robin Williams? Is this his best performance, you think?
Ooh.
Nathaniel's getting up for a
Williams
refill,
films,
so we'll have to wait on his thoughts. But I can get to Ty and Blake. I mean, out of everything you guys have seen, do you guys think this is his best performance, or where would you maybe rank it?
No.
What do you think is better then?
I really don't know, because I used to be like, Robin Williams is like a fucking. He's fucking Robin Williams.
He's the best, dude. I'm watching this movie made him miss him so much, because he's great.
I grew up with him as like my kind of like a character, like a child character. I didn't. It's more in my recent years that I've been able to appreciate him like as an adult.
Sure, yeah, he was. Yeah, that's a great point.
And he was like Genie and Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, and he's the
like
dude from
just so many things
Jumanji.
that,
Yeah, and then he's Teddy Roosevelt in or who is he in Night at the Museum? Isn't he Teddy Roosevelt?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's a great, he's got so much charisma. So you're right, he does kind of do this. This is one of not his only serious role. He's got other ones, but this is definitely kind of one of his more dramatic roles.
And yeah, so that's somebody that I hold very near and dear, and he's got so many things that I love and appreciate that it's hard to pick one. But I don't think this is his best. But I really couldn't tell you, what I think is his best.
Yeah, that's fair.
1 hour photo.
I've never seen that.
It's the one where it's his horror one.
Oh, he's got a horror movie?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
A thriller, yeah.
Oh,
Psychological
thriller.
thriller.
Gotcha.
Psychological thriller, I would say.
Gotcha.
What else is there to say about this? It's iconically Boston. You have the
It
whole
is.
I have the whole park bench and everything. I think there was a big thing about that a few years ago where they like took it down or something like that. What are some other things about this movie? The my wife farts in her sleep line, that was all ad-libbed.
Yeah, and I saw a clip on TikTok of like someone doing a Matt Damon interview for some movie. And the person asking him was like, "Hey, it's kind of an urban legend. Like the camera shakes a little bit in that scene, and apparently it's because the camera operator was laughing so hard that the camera starts shaking." Yeah, what a great scene, and that's just, you can tell Matt Damon is just genuinely cracking up because it's a funny ass scene.
Yeah,
and
course.
Robin Williams, I feel like, is one of the only people who could pull that kind of scene off. Like he's that special to this movie. I do think you're right, Nathaniel. Like this movie, at least this watch. For me, I was waiting for Robin Williams to come back on screen.
Yeah, I really don't think this movie gets going until he's there.
Yeah.
I think before that, it's a little bit
a lot of exposition.
Well, not even that. It's just you're unsure of what the dramatic thrust of the movie is going to be.
Yeah, that's yeah. You don't really know what the incitement here is.
Right. You've been introduced to the character so far, but Matt Damon hasn't done anything to prove to you that he's anyone worth being, following or anything. He's kind of just been a prick at the beginning of the film.
100%.
For the most part. And then it's not until then that we start to get kind of
he's kind of a prick throughout the film too. He's not all that. I mean, on this watch, again, maybe this is because it's aged poorly. He's not all that likable of a character. It's not all that easy to root for him. He's kind of rude to people. He's throwing people away, and like obviously that's part of the movie. But he doesn't have a lot of redeeming qualities through most of this.
Agreed.
Yeah, which is a little frustrating.
No, I think it's that's you were waiting for them to peel that back. And get
I would say.
Layer.
I'm gonna just a little bit.
Sure. You want me to mute you?
Yeah, mute me for like.
No worries, I got you. I'm gonna mute you here while I talk to Tyler and Blake here for a second. Everyone always wants to have that bar moment, right, where they get to like actually be smart with their friends too, and get to prove themselves and say, "How do you like them apples?" as well. I feel like that's a pretty universal experience overall.
Yeah.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Yeah, this mic arm is always something to get a hold of. Anyway, what was I talking about before I stopped?
I was talking about bars.
I was gonna bring up a point right before I. Damn, I totally forgot. Hopefully, it comes back to me. Yeah,
it's gone.
That bar scene's great though.
It is funny.
Him coming up and then being like, "You just recited all that shit. Like, you're just gonna come in here. Is that your move? You plagiarize, scholars and play it off as your own. Is that really gonna impress girls?" And then I think up until Robin Williams, she is the thing that kind of kickstarts a little bit too.
Sure.
That scene, like I said before, coming up to him and be like,
"She's not like the other girls."
No, she's unique. She's special. Yeah, that's all great. There's more threads than I remember in this movie going on, because there's Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. There's Matt Damon and Sean and Robin Williams. There's Matt Damon and Stellan Skarsgård. There's Stellan Skarsgård and Robin Williams. Then there's Minnie Driver, Skyler and Matt Damon. And so the 5 main ones. Yep. That's decent amount to fit into 2 hours.
And then there's just random scenes where you have Casey Affleck jacking off to VHS tapes, and your mom's room.
I guess they want to build up the other two friends a little bit through
I
that.
don't know
but I
what
don't know if
those
that
ones
really
are
works.
for.
I don't know if that really works. I think I'm
it-
fine with everything else.
Maybe to just establish that again, he's just with them because they accept him for who he is. He doesn't really relate to them all that much.
He's not that useful, but he's that childhood friend that you can't get rid of now. 'Cause
Right.
He's grown up with them, and he's just
Yeah,
he's
like
just there.
I think was it Sean says like he knows that any one of them will take a bat to your head if he asks them to or whatever.
And I think that builds it up a little bit.
Yeah, but yeah,
It's
overall
those kind of bits, and then the whole Stellan Skarsgård picking up college women is also just out of place.
mathematics are the sexiest thing in the universe.
The formulas.
Let me tell you about my numbers, baby.
They're so erotic. And then the door opens up and he's in like the therapist's office or something like that.
Yeah, Bunker Hill Community College. Yeah. So, okay, that's one thing I've never understood about this movie. Is it implied that Robin Williams' character was also a mathematician and then
That's
spun off to do therapy instead?
That's what's not
Yes,
very
that's
clear.
What it seems like.
Okay.
Because it seems like that's the case, but I wonder if they meant it more as like he was supposed to be the Stellan Skarsgård of like psychology, maybe, but like I don't know, that doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, I couldn't tell because they were like, "Oh, we were roommates." I was like, that doesn't imply that you were the same major necessarily.
But then they
or
applied
anything.
again later when he was like, "Oh, you could have been me.
Right.
You were smarter than all of us, and you didn't do it."
Yeah, I couldn't quite figure that out. But I do like that scene where they're kind of like trying to go back and forth and have the intellectual argument, and he's like, you know, the Albert Einstein or Jonas Salk. And he's like Ted Kaczynski.
I mean, there's a lot of great dialogue between those two characters, and you're right, it does feel unresolved at the end when he just kind of comes in. And they're like, all forgiven. Let's get a beer.
Yeah, so I like that line. I
do too.
The where he starts to say it and he just goes, "Me too."
Yes, that's
And,
great. That's great. That's great writing, and for like a young writing duo like that to like kind of come up with one-liners like that is great.
I do really like that beat. I just I don't know where I was expecting more on that side of it, or just kind of the thing. It just kind of feels like the movie just ends. At a certain point.
I don't know where you fit that in.
Yeah.
When you have 5 major plot lines, 4 of them get wrapped up. It seems like pretty well, sorta. 3 of them maybe. I don't know. Skylar, that plot line's wrapped up. Obviously, Robin Williams is wrapped up, but then the other 3 kind of just hang loose. You don't really. It's not all that resolved between Stellan Skarsgård and Matt Damon because he kind of just leaves the job that he said he was going to take, and then I assume you don't, or he didn't say anything to Stellan, and then he leaves Ben Affleck, and and then the Robin Williams, Stellan Skarsgård, we don't see them kind of hash the rest of that out, which I think is kind of implied that like they might not ever, like that's kind of just going to be their relationship, which is, I don't think any of these are like necessarily bad. They just do feel a little empty and unfinished, and I wish that there was more because they build it up to be so much, and then they could have had a much more impactful ending if they tried to tie those ends together a little bit.
I have to admit something. And,
yes.
and it's at the risk of sounding just completely stupid because this might be one of those things that's just like so obvious I just don't get it. But I just never really understood the title.
Yeah, Good Will Hunting. I mean,
is it supposed to be like we're talking about the character Will Hunting and he sure is good? Like or it's all good, Will Hunting? Like I just don't get it.
I think it's like he's a good kid. Will Hunting kind of thing. Like he's actually good. He just may not appear like it.
Okay.
And then by
he's
the end
just
of the movie,
a bit of an asshole.
Yeah, he's
good.
Patch. You could tell he's good, but he's got rocks on top or something like that.
Okay.
He's what I don't know what candy bar has, soft layer underneath or whatever, but whatever you want to say.
I was gonna say Sour Patch.
Sour Patch Kid.
Sure, yeah, sour sweet, gone to California. That's actually a great comparison for his character. He's sour, then he's sweet, and then he's gone.
There you go.
Yeah.
Should we see where it ranks?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and see where it ranks. I feel like we talked so much shit on this movie. I feel bad because I think overall I do enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I think one of my favorite scenes is probably everyone else's, which is the bench scene where he tells him he's really smart and everything like that, but nothing he'd done has ever really mattered yet.
Yeah.
And, He's just a fucking kid.
And you know what? It's really great directing and great writing on that, because I'm noticing that watching that scene, and that's like the first time Matt Damon shuts up and doesn't interrupt anyone. And like they do some very smart things throughout the movie, where if you watch Matt Damon and how the camera positions him, or how he interacts with the other characters, like you can see kind of him changing a little bit. There's that scene that I noticed where he doesn't interrupt Robin Williams at all. Like he knows he's telling the truth and he's just listening to it all. And then slowly that camera kind of pans past Robin Williams, and eventually Matt Damon comes into frame. It's a very slow pan. And then there's another point where I think it's almost immediately following the conversation of the idiosyncrasies, the farts in her sleep conversation, is when he and Skylar are at the dog racing park. And if you watch the first shot of is of the dog racing, can kind of set that up, but then it cuts to Skylar watching, and then you see Matt Damon. He's just looking at Skylar, like he's kind of watching her idiosyncrasies, and like small stuff like that is kind of how they show you that change in Matt Damon, but it's or show that he's learning, but it's very minute. And like I feel like throughout this movie, this is actually what I was going to say earlier. I'm glad I kind of got back to it. But his actions show you change, but his behavior doesn't. And what's going to come across more apparently to like the everyday viewer is the behavior, is his like words that he's saying and stuff like that. Whereas like the things he's doing show change a little bit, but not so much like how he goes about it and like the things he does, as far as like, still not going back with Skylar. I know that's part of like the conflict and everything, but I don't know, you don't see it in giant changes. And I think part of that, I guess, is that he was a tough nut to crack, I guess, is you could play it in with that. But I don't know. I will also say I should probably own up to the fact that like that breakup scene is intense, and it gets me emotional both the first time and the second time I saw it. I was like, damn, this is heartbreaking to watch, actually, to like have that such a kind of like a butting of heads there, and you can tell like the Skylar character is so upset about what happens, and it's like to admit just, he says I don't love you, and you know for a fact he doesn't mean that.
Right.
But like he can't accept the fact that she's leaving, and can't accept the fact that he could go with her. Like he knows that's the truth and she's right, but he won't admit that. Like that powerful scene. There is some strong emotion in that, and as much as we've kind of been critiquing this movie, I think the sign of a good movie that we like I said before, I think it's on the cusp of being great, and I think we're just trying to critique the parts that could get it to be great. But I think overall we're still pretty positive on it. Obviously, we all recommended it, so
yeah.
Let's rank it.
I'm with you.
Let's rank it.
Real quick.
Oh, sure.
To jump in here on Daniel's point, he's like, I never understood the name of this movie, and that actually goes back to like my original thought of this. So this entire time, when we're doing Good Will Hunting, for whatever reason, this always correlates to me with No Country for Old Men. Which I don't know
Sure,
why.
okay.
I can't give you any Bible reason for that. But that's what I thought I was gonna watch until I saw like the movie poster for it, and I was like, oh, that's this movie. So I had like one of those epiphany moments when I searched for it. But definitely thought I was gearing up to watch No Country for Old Men, fellas.
I think we have that on the short list.
I think we do too, and I think that's why it was just all convoluted.
Two very different movies.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, are we good?
Yeah, let's rank it.
All right, let's go. Hello, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're going to go ahead and rank Good Will Hunting, whatever that may mean, up upon the Entropy list, which is our big list of all the movies we reviewed compared to one another. And that's how we rate the movies. If you want to see the Entropy list for yourself, there's a link to it in the episode description. I'm trying to shorten that, I think I said last week. I'm trying to figure out the flow there. I think my original spiel that I did for like however long, little redundant. I'm just trying to shorten it up, trying to get to the good stuff quicker. Anyway, Good Will Hunting. I think this might fall lower than it should.
You calling that already?
I think so. I think we have too many bangers on here, and I just think we have been critiquing this so much, and I think we're gonna get that thing where it's like we're just gonna like we're gonna rank it lower than we should, and then in a few months we might regret it, but maybe not.
I think we regret, some of these, but
I just think it's
sure.
hard to balance this list.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
With 4
'Cause it's
opinions.
so in the moment.
It is, yeah, which I think is part of the charm of it. But
Yeah, I love it.
it's also
It's like some of the, like it's like Mario Brothers, right? It's a movie that's so stupid,
Sure.
you just fucking love it.
He's
And,
always
like,
going to bat.
It doesn't really have like the best logic behind it, and some people might think it's like really stupid, but like you just love it.
Sure, like the Emoji Movie.
Sure.
No, I'm just kidding. I haven't even seen that.
I'm going 47.
47.
Yep, above Top Gun, right below Pig.
Fantastic. That was higher
Pig
than I
is,
thought we were gonna start off with.
Pig's
so.
tough.
Pig is tough.
And I would put these kind of in the same vein. Yeah, Pig, I don't know. Pig just did something for me, and I fucking love it. So I'm gonna
Pig
put it
is
right there.
good.
I do think Good Will Hunting is better than some of the movies we have above that, but I think that's a good spot for it.
That is a good spot for it. You're right. I'm gonna do you one better. I think I'm gonna go. Kill Bill Volume 2's got me tripped up, big time.
Yeah, that was another one that I thought was pretty hard for it to go above.
We got a chunk of 4 superhero movies. I would love to put this above, and right below all those superhero movies is Kill Bill Volume 2.
Kill Bill Volume 2 for sure.
Yeah. I still think I can somewhat justify. I mean, I don't know. There's also Top Gun, which I like, and Bullet Train and Weathering with You below. So it's not like these are all movies that I would rank above or below this. But to go 41 or to just go 46 is the question. Because I'm okay putting it above Pig personally. I think I relate to this movie a little bit more than I do Pig. I'm not a mushroom farmer. Not yet, at least. Who knows? Yeah, not yet. Psilocybin, it's a booming business, I'm just kidding. That's not the type of mushrooms he was growing. What were they? Portobello? Truffle. Oh, yeah. Truffle. He's got the truffle pig. Yep, that all makes sense. I remember now. I'll give it the boost it might need to kind of have some relevance in this list. I'll go 41, below Boys in the Hood, above Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I'm cool with that.
You boys are higher on this one than I am. I
figured.
am going to put it at 57.
Yikes. Okay.
Below Paid in Full, above District 9.
I will say that's originally where I had it, and then I started thinking about it a little bit more, and I wanted it higher.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It was weird. It was weirdly and really like Power of the Dog, and then also like Fabelmans.
Recency bias.
A little bit in some ways, probably, but I just I don't know. And then like that was like a good spot of it, I think, into and kind of like my head in terms of like a timeline wise, where we don't really have like kind of a 90s movie in there, or there is kind of in like Paid in Full and that kind of stuff as well too. But like I was also looking like later on down the list too. We kind of have like The Rock and like Independence Day and stuff. So even then we're kind of keeping our timeline going in different tiers and stuff. So anyways, that was kind of my vague justification for it. What did I even say? I forgot at this point. 57?
57.
Yeah, 57 below Paid in Full, above District 9.
Yeah, Nathaniel's pretty close to what I was thinking. The two that caught my eye were Paid in Full, Blade.
Okay.
Where I was like, I don't know if I can push that, as well as District 9. District 9's a good and awesome movie as well.
Yeah,
So
sneakily
I
somewhat
think,
high.
Yeah, I think I'm sliding at 60.
Okay.
So below Blade, above Frozen.
Above Frozen.
And then also above Predator as well, which is but I can live with that. Can't win them all on the Entropy list, as we discussed.
Yeah.
It's got to be some sacrifices.
It's very, very tough. Okay. That gives us a cumulative ranking of 51.25, meaning we would have to tiebreak it with Tokyo Drift. Do we want to back row tiebreak it above or below Tokyo Drift?
It's definitely going to beat Tokyo Drift on IMDb.
It is. I've already confirmed. Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift, a 6.0. That doesn't mean we can't put it below.
Whatever you all want. I'm good with going below Tokyo Drift.
Tokyo.
You want Tokyo Drift?
Yes.
Tyler?
Donkey Kong?
Yeah, that's fine.
Donkey Kong. Okay. Below Tokyo Drift. 52. Good Will Hunting. Below Tokyo Drift and above Dr. Sleep.
Sleep.
Schlap into next week where we're going to be reviewing The Menu.
Yes.
Somewhat new movie. When was that released? Fall?
Fall. Yes.
Had
Yes.
it.
Yeah, like
Yeah, it's had it
October.
a few months ago.
Yeah, October, November, early November maybe. We were gonna review it when it came out, and then I forgot there was either something else coming out that week that we want to watch instead. I think it was. What was it?
Don't remember.
I don't either, but I think it was a new movie we wanted to watch instead. So we did that and kind of slipped under the radar.
Possibly Halloween.
Potentially Halloween. That sounds somewhat right.
Either way, we didn't get to it
Whatever.
at the time.
We didn't get it to it at the time. And it's now on HBO Max. Free to stream
Shout out
if
HBO
you have
Max.
HBO Max. So check it out there, as we will be doing ourselves, and then join us for a review next week. Nathaniel, 5-star review. We've got some time left. Did you want to do one?
I do believe we have a 5-star review. Let me go ahead and find one here for
Okay.
us. Folks, if you do want to give us a 5-star review, we will read it out here on Back Row Banter Podcast. You can say whatever you want. You can be mean, you can be nice, you can be funny. Just don't be evil. And it'll get read out here on the pod, just like who are we reading this week? I'm so close. To not having to have Tyler have to fill. We're going to go with Mead Master. Gave us an 11 out of 10. 5 out of 5 stars.
6 out of 5 stars.
Nope. 5 out of 5 stars, 11 out of 10. Just
11 out of 10
just
is
in
like,
general.
is like a 5.5 stars out of 5.
Who knows? A truly magnificent experience that has changed my life. I
Oh.
could simply be another cog in the bourgeoisie system suffering at the hands of the greedy capitalist.
Okay.
But no longer am I a cog.
No.
Your podcasts give me life to get through my day-to-day job. Thank you all, especially Adam, who never ceases to crack me up. So thank you, Adam,
That was a wild review.
for Mead Master. you keep him.
So we've got Mead Master, we've got Bong Lord 420 Blaze It.
Yep.
We've got there's been some other ones.
We're assembling a team of vices.
Yeah, we've got some crack listeners out there.
Crack listeners, heroin fiends,
Heroin. You name
reefer madness.
it. Yeah. You name the drug, we've got the listener. Well, thank you. What was Mead Master?
Mead Master.
Okay, King of the Mead. Thank you, Mead Master. I appreciate the compliment. I try to be entertaining, sometimes funny, sometimes cringy. You know, it depends on your perspective. If you want to leave a 5-star review for yourself, which of course helps us out quite a bit, you can go to Apple Podcasts, theoretically Spotify, although let me check right now. Do we have anything on Spotify? I've never checked. You can do 5-star reviews now, which is a new feature within the last year or so. And I never knew that was a thing, or I don't know how to really. It gives me an option to rate the show, but I can't see other ratings.
Who knows?
Maybe I have to go on our little feed. Anyway, go to Apple Podcasts, go to Spotify. You can leave us a 5-star review. If you do leave a 5-star review, particularly on Apple Podcasts, we will go ahead and read it out loud on the podcast. Really doesn't matter what it says as long as it doesn't, contain anything defamatory or incredibly negative or profane language. Anything that doesn't include that, we'll read it out loud on the podcast. The other ways you can contact us, you can send us an email. Any of your questions or comments, concerns, grievances, anything like that. We'd love to hear the feedback. And you can send us that feedback to backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @banterrow. Our Instagram is @backrowbanterpod. And our YouTube, we're just Back Row Banter. BlakeHolder, where can the people find you at, my man?
Yo, Letterboxd, BlakeHolder. I'll be in there logging some things, rating things out of 5 stars, giving my thoughts and opinions on something if I value it highly. Feel free to follow me on there and check out what's going on and what we're watching. Popcorn. We'll go to Adam today.
You can find me on Twitter at Aish24, on Twitch at twitch.tv/Aish, and on Letterboxd. It's just Aish. Nathaniel.
You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at @NSKingGurk. You can find me on Instagram at NathanielG92. Sandpiper Tapes is my other podcast. And yeah, that's it. Tyler.
Twitch.tv/UltraBajo87, Twitter, Letterboxd, and Instagram. Is that what it is? Is that what I say?
Something like that.
Instagram, yeah, that's
Tyler
the
Dallas. You know what it is.
VIDALES.
Nice.
I think that does it for episode 131. Another palindrome. Oh, God, I love them. Join us next week for our review of The Menu. Thank you all for listening, especially if you made it this far into the episode. We'll BRB.
Be excellent to each other, everyone, and we will BRB.
Thanks for stopping by and giving us your support, as we appreciate that. And then I don't think we mentioned it, but with all the crazy things that happened throughout yesterday, one of somebody that I idolize,
of
fairly
course.
high, Ken Block actually passed away, who is just an icon in the car industry and what he did for World Rally and drifting and kind of Gymkhana and all his little things that he does. So rest in peace. You will be missed. And thanks for stopping by. And we'll BRB.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for the support as always. We'll be able to continue this podcast if we didn't have any listeners, if we didn't have you supporting. So we appreciate it. As we've kind of echoed earlier, just don't take life for granted, man. It's some interesting times that we're in, and you never know when time's up. So we'll BRB.
I'm American. Ready for another lesson.
Any of you guys eat Pop-Tarts still?
I do not, mainly because they're pretty high in sugar. I've been trying to avoid that.
Respectable.
Love the Pop-Tarts.
But if they weren't
I
so
agree.
high in sugar, I would love to eat Pop-Tarts.
Favorite Pop-Tart flavor?
Brown sugar cinnamon.
Yeah, that's the easy answer for sure.
Oreos, cookie and cream.
No, I don't know if I've had the cookies and cream.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever had any. I think that might be in that section of flavors from Pop-Tarts that I would just never try. They have that. They had like a donut, like a cream donut one or something like that. I was like, I can't eat that. I think Oreo may fit that bill, Nathaniel.
When I was a little kid, I like anything that was. I didn't like natural flavored fake things. So like a Pop-Tart with like the strawberry filling or something like that. Like that to me was weird. Like I didn't want to have any of that.
Sure.
But like an Oreo Pop-Tart, I could wrap my head around as like a dessert kind of like item. So I just naturally only liked like the chocolate chip or the Oreo or like the like frosted sundae ones, and just refused to ever eat the like brown sugar cinnamon like the stuff because I didn't like that they were like fake natural
Sure.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
I guess that's kind of a weird justification for like a child to have, but it just like I don't know, I never liked shit like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. They do taste not like the actual thing, but somehow they are. You know what I mean?
Right.
Isn't there? It's the banana Laffy Taffy.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
banana flavored candy. It's like that's not actually.
real.
Yeah, it's not actually how like bananas taste now. It's based on like an old strain of bananas that we can no longer grow or like
bred
went
out of
extinct.
existence.
Yeah. And so like that's why banana flavored Laffy Taffies don't taste like banana. It's because they taste like a banana from a bygone era.
Yeah, I think that's for like all banana flavored.
Yeah,
things or
pretty much.
whatever.
Yeah, they haven't like made a new banana flavoring.
Makes sense. I knew they didn't taste like actual bananas.
Yeah.
I guess I wasn't aware that they taste like retro bananas for
Well,
like.
the reality is,
retro.
the reality is most of those things don't taste like anything. Like I remember I was part of a psych test in college. Did you ever have to like participate in a certain amount of lab?
No, I did not have to. They send those things out and like I've applied to be on a couple and never heard back.
Gotcha. Well, on ours, like you had to be in a certain amount of them in the program.
Gotcha.
And the one that I was on was, can you tell the flavor of the soda without the coloring?
Mm.
And it was like lemon lime, like all the basically it was Sprite, like lemon lime, all the Fanta colors, orange, blue,
Yeah.
purple, red, green, whatever. And they all taste basically the same without the coloring. Like,
Yeah.
if it's just a clear soda, you have such a hard time differentiating the
100%,
different
yeah.
flavors.
Aren't all is it Fruit Loops? Aren't all Fruit Loops the same flavor?
Yeah.
I think it's something like that.
Yeah, I think they're literally just coloring.
Yeah. Fruit Loops.
Fruit Juice.
Fruit
Sounds like
Juice.
some sort of slur.
I was very close there. Fruit Loops or Apple Jacks?
Fruit Loops. No, but like now, maybe when I was a kid, Fruit Loops. Now I would say Apple Jacks.
I've always been Apple Jack, Team Apple Jacks. I could
They had some of the
destroy
strangest
some Apple Jacks.
commercials.
They did the apple versus the cinnamon stick.
Yeah,
Very strange.
they were in that almost like
Constantly when we were
it
kids,
was almost like
released.
a Tim Burton-esque like
Yeah, very strange advertisements.
stop motion animation style.
Yeah, very strange. But hey, man, I saw that shit and I wanted Apple Jacks. What can I say? Maybe it worked.